welcome back to my channel. Welcome here for the first time, if this is your first time. I am a software engineer who has just been tracking the data on the coronavirus, and I go through that data on a nightly or bi-nightly basis. So, this has been a confusing day. I'm not sure if... I'll get into that shortly if I just get into some of the data. I think it's just going to be easier if I just explain it as I go along. So, let's look at that now, and let's look at the confirmed cases first, because this is for the global stats as well, and the confirmed cases aren't looking that bizarre. I mean, they kind of peaked at about 100,000 last week, but they haven't really been. I mean, it's actually decreasing a little bit, and it's decreasing a lot by the confirmed growth rate if you look at the percentage rate, even though it's a little bit up to date. But yesterday probably corrected a little bit too much at 65,000. Today it's around about 72,000. It's about 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time right now, so maybe another couple of hours to go in the next couple of hours before this I finish updating the spreadsheet here. Then it's gonna just like fluctuate by another 100 or so, but not too much. These numbers will remain somewhat consistent after this vlog update. So reached 2 million, as you can see, confirmed cases. That's I haven't really been panicking about this number because it doesn't really tell the whole story about the number of confirmed cases, but that's a lot of people when you think about they all have to eventually either recover or pass away. And right now, I mean, you got 480,000 plus 130,000, so that's just over 600,000 people that have actually finished up. So about 1.4 million people that you're still waiting to either actually fill this void or this void. So yeah, I'm hoping that this will continue to go down. And if you look at the chart, it'll be a little bit more obvious about what's happening here. See, this is breaking. Now, this is the confirmed here on the gold, sort of like the gold colored line. And you can see it's sort of breaking away from its exponential pattern, so that's good. And it's looked at a little bit more closely here, so you can see that breakaway there. And you can also see the 10-day moving average trend going down a little bit. It's not going down as much as deaths, but let's take a look at that because that's a whole other story. So, deaths were at around 130,483 today, and yes, it has peaked by a lot. It's peaked by about 10,500 at the moment, and obviously the deaths growth has gone up. This was on target for being about the same or just a little bit below yesterday, and around about 6,000 fatalities until around about 3 o'clock, I think, in the afternoon, when a tweet came through, or a notice from the US authorities or whoever, I guess Beano News, who I use as another data tracking source, who are in contact with the authorities or some medical, the health authorities or whatever. But they were saying that the New York City has just started, as of today, counting fatalities in the official fatalities update that haven't been confirmed to test positive for coronavirus. So that means now fatalities. So last week you might have seen I covered an article or a Reddit story about the fact that New York police were actually visiting a few houses and finding out that there is a lot of like dead bodies in New York homes that they suspect have passed away due to coronavirus, but they weren't able to know for sure because for whatever reason post-mortem testing isn't a thing with the coronavirus yet. I'm not sure if that's a limitation of resources or just capabilities right now, but so they just have to sort of suspect that these people have passed away. Now that's probably in comparison, they probably run checks due to the number of fatalities they received last year, probably due to pneumonia. Maybe let's say there's 500 people that passed away from pneumonia in this month last year, and now this year there's 2,000. Now obviously maybe they work out the difference being 1,500 have passed away due to coronavirus. So I don't know how they've done it, but they announced that they were going to be starting to include people that have passed away that haven't necessarily tested positive for coronavirus. And that's why there is such a huge spike here if you look at the US, there's actually, so I don't normally deviate off global data before going through these rates, but let's just take a look at the US now, because this is actually, they're responsible for blowing out the stats here. And yeah, you can see they've had over 6,000 deaths in their country today, and 3,000 or 3,500, maybe even 4,000 have come from New York because of that factor. So that's as you can see, the WHO death rate has jumped up because of that. Now, what I don't know is, I don't know if this is just a one-day anomaly, or if they're going to be, I don't know if this was a backlog of fatalities that they just included. I think it might be, or I don't know if they're actually going to do this from every day from now on. So maybe this is part of the backlog, and that's why it's so high, even though they might still continue to do this from now on. So yeah, it would be very weird if you would expect this kind of spike if it just jumped from 2,000 deaths a day to 6,000 deaths a day continuously from now on. I don't expect that to happen. So, unless I'm really underestimating the amount of people that have died that haven't died in hospitals, who knows? So, anyway, so looking at the recovered death rate, let's look at that. Okay, so 21 points. So that's brought up the rate now. It's actually due to drop down a little bit, but now that's 21.3%. The WHO death rate has shot right up. That's shot right up is relative, but 6.1%. At most, it's been increasing at 0.1% today. So now, a day. So now it's actually increased at 0.2%. And this incubation rate is actually starting to flatten. I was saying that there would be a time when actually there will be time soon where this has actually been coming down recently, but there will be time probably this week where this will start to flatten a little bit and not really continue the sharp decline that we've been seeing, because this death rate here has got to come up to match these. We are still continuing to see a flattening though of the recovered death rate. Like I was saying, the last update I gave on what are we on? Tuesday. So yeah, the last update on Sunday. I was always very surprised that this came up to 20%. I'd be surprised if this goes up much higher than 21%. I think you're going to see a flattening out now and then eventually a decline, because we have been seeing a decline in the number of confirmed cases, and eventually, like I touched on before, that'll either translate to either fatalities or people who are recovered. Okay, so all other countries are down, I think. The UK, Spain, Italy, they're all down. No other country I don't think is over 1,000. Sweden is up. Sweden is over to over 100 fatalities today. I guess we can take a quick look at them because we don't really look at them that much. But I'm giving Sweden special attention because even though it's only a country of 10 million people, they've been notoriously adopting the herd immunity strategy, where they haven't taken measures to actually quarantine the public. So the death rate has the death increases have kind of jumped all over the place a little bit. And actually, the charts will be updated with that data, so you can see how irregular this is. Whoops, I'm not really sure what's happening here. Anyway, I don't really look at this much apart from when it's on global, but so maybe I should. Oh, because I think the death increases are still so small, and I think the chart is actually. I think the chart is made to be in the thousands. So anyway. It has fluctuated quite a bit, and it went up to 106 last week, but then it went down to 12 and 20, and then it shot up again to 114. So who knows what it's going to be tomorrow. There's no point in checking out global minus China. China have had 0 deaths reportedly today, but between you and me, that's BS. So that's the data done. Let's look at what's grabbing my attention on Reddit and Twitter. So this first thread here. It's a complete abomination. Hedge funds applying for bailouts. So apparently this is linking to a Market Watch story, which is a news outlet that I read quite often because it's linked to quite a lot in the stocks apps. Even just the standard stocks apps that comes with iPhone that Apple provides. Market Watch is a large contributor to the stories that come out there. So, but for some reason, coronavirus is notoriously inconsistent. I think this is. I have no idea why they removed this, but this is garbage. They removed it for violating Rule 4, no politics. But I've seen so many political things get in, and this isn't even about politics. This is about finance. This is about money. You know, hedge funds are not political. They're like financial managers. Anyway, so this is about basically a lot of it continues on the theme of money potentially going to not really translating and going to the workers, but going to big corporations that don't need it, and that'll actually just stay in the hands of the 1% that won't trickle it down to the workers and to people that do need it. So somebody did a good job here that's resonating of actually summing it up, and they basically, I mean, everyone's saying spot on, well put, great breakdown of why this is so irksome, but they sum it up by saying they want to privatize the profits and socialize the losses. I think that's that is a punchy way to put it. That is pretty much hits the nail on the head. So the next one I saw was on the China flu subreddit. China's wet markets back. This is from yesterday, but I didn't give an update yesterday, so I'll still include this. China's wet markets back in business despite US calls to keep them shut. Links to an article in the New York Post. And just like in 2003, so 2003 is sort of, that was around, I think, the SARS outbreak. We'll be back in a decade with another global crisis, maybe even sooner this time. Ban travel, trade in any other country that maintains contacts with China. Solved. Okay, so, you are getting some extreme opinions here, but, whoops, I clicked on the wrong one. But, yeah, I'm looking for some more nuanced opinions here. Okay, so, yeah, it quickly evolves down into all three comments and stuff, but this is getting more attention from more than just the New York Post. I've seen this on other outlets. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the wet markets, considering the Chinese government has actually blamed the wet markets, and whether to divert attention off the biolab reality or whether it's actually a reality that has come from the wet markets. For whatever reason, they've said that it comes from the wet markets. So the wet markets is the center of attention at the moment, and people, the West doesn't really like it, the fact that they're still running, and they're potentially gonna, if this virus has come from there, they're potentially gonna have maybe another one from this same practice. So this one from today, very recent. So I actually watched the press conference today. It was another firecracker, kind of like yesterday's. So in the China flu subreddit, USA halts funding for the WHO. Big news. Good, but he should go further, withdraw from WHO, encourage all liberal democracies to do the same, and form a new organization. Yeah, I think Trump would probably do the former, but not the latter. He'd probably want to encourage others to start a new organization, but he probably wouldn't try to put any effort in doing them himself. CCP wants to control the WHO, let them play by themselves. So I actually looked at this, and apparently last year, so on average, the US funds about 22%. 22% provides 22% of funding to WHO. China provides about 10%. So if they're compromised and not really giving the US anything, and giving them compromised information that puts China in a positive light at the sacrifice of truth, then I think they're within their right to withdraw. And the 22% that they contributed last year, I think, was $57 million, according to Wikipedia. So that's a bit less than I thought they were providing. Like, the way this was announced, I thought it was going to be billions of dollars, but, hey, so that's happening. This one, so I mentioned Chris Hayes. He did a bad take a few days ago. And now he's kind of redeemed himself. He's one of the lead anchors or presenters on NBC, and he's saying, is he still with NBC? Yeah, he is, MSNBC. So he's saying this is a very obvious point and has been obvious from the beginning, but as the global picture fills in over time, there is absolutely no freaking way China only had 3,300 fatalities from this virus. So, yeah, that got a lot of retweets and likes, so it's becoming kind of mainstream I think, consensus now. Anyway, next thing. Highlighted something from Tim Pool. The media is now wasting its time. Oh yeah, and this ties in with the press conference that Trump gave yesterday. So, because I didn't give an update yesterday, I'm just covering this today. The media is now wasting its time in a pissing match with Trump. To have all these major institutions get so triggered, they go on tantrums is insane. Grow the F up, you whiny babies. After seeing what New York Times did to protect Biden and the tantrum, okay, so this is getting too much into political territory, but basically the media were criticizing Trump for the same thing that they did. They played this down as much as anyone. So the next one is... So, Steve, looking at, I'm not sure who this is, but I think this came to my feed from Beano News, which I follow. There they are there. So, basically, breaking, this was, 4 o'clock today. New York City increases death toll by over 3,700. Officials said they were now including people who have never tested positive, but were presumed to have died of it. So, this is what I was talking about earlier. So that's big news. And this is something I saw that was kind of interesting. Since the crisis began, there has been a collapse in confidence in the media across all 4 countries in the survey. The biggest fall being in the UK with a 21% net loss in confidence. So loss of confidence in the media. And yeah, this is, as the White House briefing demonstrated yesterday, that's another reason why the media, I don't think, is capable of looking at itself and admitting, hey, we're at fault too. If they just admitted that and said, look, we played this down as much as anyone, I think they get a lot of respect. I mean, certainly from me anyway. So, thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll give another update tomorrow or the next day. So either every day or every other day. And stay safe. Things are looking like they're improving, even though New York numbers kind of skewed things a little bit today. Okay. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.